Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Griggs coming to you on the first day of March 2021. Time on deck is 2100 hours Central Standard Time. Now, got a question. Did China attack India's power grid? Did China put Mumbai, also known as Bombay to many of you, India, in the dark on the 12th of October 2021? A city of 20 million people. This is comparable to Texas or New York City in population, a city, a huge city put in the dark. It looks like Chinese code was involved in a hacking attack that may indeed have put Bombay in the dark. As you may know, but this is also a capital city of the Indian state of Maharashtra. So, wow, a capital city, a huge city. I mean, how would Americans react if New York City was put in the dark? How are we reacting by a foreign country, by a cyber attack? How is Texas reacting to what happened there? You know, that might have been a misalignment of several things of mismanagement, but an intentional attack. Think about this: the attack by the software, which is blamed on the Russians, which is not conclusively proved yet, of the solar wind attacks, prompted many writers to say that Russia should pay dearly and that we should, it was like they aligned that with an act of war. And they were calling for commensurate retribution upon Russia. Almost some of the writers are almost like sounded like calling for war when that first happened. It's like, oh my gosh, you don't want to do that. I mean, this is bad, but actually taking the power out is worse than stealing your information. Although stealing information is pretty darn bad. Like I did a report about China. You realize, just my last video, I talked about the fact that it's reported that the Chinese Communist Party probably has the personal identifiable information, the very personal private information on like 80% of Americans. Wow. Well, though that's not trivial by any means, including DNA. Now, but did China also directly attack Mumbai? Okay, we're going to get into that. But before we do, just bear in mind, that this could be deemed an act of war. It may have been as a result of the border conflict that was going on between India and China when they had the baton and fisticuffs that resulted in quite a number of people getting planted in the ground. Just to this, wow. So was this a warning to India? Yeah. It was just like saying, we can take out everything. We can take out your, wow. What kind of capabilities to have? What do they have on us? And guys, what could this lead to? Could this be considered an act of war? Could something like this escalate? I've done reports on how a war between just Pakistan and India could create a nuclear winter and how it could gravely affect the world. I didn't talk about the economic impacts of a war between them. Think about India and China if they got into it. Holy smoke, this could be ugly, very ugly globally. It wouldn't just be them. We would pay here too. It would cost us in many, many ways, environmentally and economically. So these things can escalate. And this may have been an escalation. Could it again another step? Could it in the future? Let's hope not. But you need to be prepared. You need to get ready. I bring these videos for the sole purpose of you need to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel, and it's to help bring you things for keeping your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. I help bring you this kind of information so you know to prepare, but also so you can share it with your friends and family. So look, guys, this world is nuts. If you haven't woke up to the fact yet this world is nuts and getting nuttier, you need to, because we need to get ready just in case. I hope these things don't come to pass, but just in case, this is your good insurance. And by the way, I help you in that area also because I have a special that you can get 20% off food that lasts 25 years. You talk about prepping, this is a good thing. Yeah, if we have a lights out for, and a global darkness, nuclear winter type situation, yeah, you're going to have a hard time growing food. You need to save your seeds, but you need to eat something in the meantime. 25-year storage food is a great thing to have in your back pocket or in your cupboard. Or throw in your bug out vehicle. So you can get 2 of these, 4 weeks, a little better than 20% off, or 1 of these is a 2-week supply. You can get for just a little under 20% off. Either way, you come out with something about like 10 to 11 cents per eating meals for an entire day. And it's real food, you can see. but it happens to be dehydrated, so it's lightweight. Unlike some of the competitors that show shoving this stuff across the threshold. It's also packets that are much smaller and more portable than some of theirs. This comes in these nice little packets. That's 4 servings, by the way. And that is something you can easily throw in your backpack. You throw a bunch of those in if you need to bug out, if that's what you had to do. That's comparable to 4 of these cans. That's 2 servings. So there you go. And you can also go to the My Patriot logo. Go to prepwithgreg.com. That's how you get this, prepwithgreg.com. But at the top of the page, you'll find the My Patriot Supply logo. You're going to get all kinds of prepping supplies that will help you get through these situations. Prepwithgreg.com. Okay, now let's get into this. I'm going to show you some articles. We're going to go in and do some sharing. Bing. First, we're going to go to a place that so many of you trust, the New York Times. Now, I'm going to show you an error. I don't trust the New York Times. They said it struck on the 13th of October. It struck on the 12th, according to at least 2 Indian websites, okay? Who am I going to trust first, an American website or an Indian website? When 2 Indian websites agree one date, the American says something else, I'm going to take the American site, the Indian sites. By the way, I have been involved in many things directly that there's been news reports about, TV, articles in newspapers, or magazines. I've never seen a single article get the story exactly right. So here's the case that even when they try to get it right, they just can't quite manage. That might have extended through the 13th, but it struck on the 12th. So if they just said on the 13th, but no, they said struck on the 13th. So New York Times, okay, what I tell you, never trust the mainstream news media. All right, not entirely, but you can get kind of a flavor of what's going on sometimes, especially if you reinforce it with other things, and we're going to do that. So what happened here is China appears to warn India, push too hard, like on the border, and guess what might happen? Would your lights go out? Well, lights did go out. Was this a malware attack? So this talks about the fisticuff in the Galwan Valley, which I covered on my channel immediately after it happened. And it says, hey, 4 months later, 1,500 miles away in Mumbai, train stop. What happened? Hospitals? Did people pass away because of the loss of power in the hospitals, not having refrigeration for medicines? I don't know. That part's not covered in this, but it talks about in here. I'm not going to read this article because I'm not, I might take choice specs out of it. Now a study lends weight to the idea that these 2 events may have been connected. So there's a study out that says that this looks like Chinese malware was flowing into the control systems that managed electric supply across India just as soon as this little fisticuff took place. It was more than a fisticuff. It was quite a brutal fisticuff. And so so they hit the high voltage transmission substation and a coal-fired plant. The flow of malware was pieced together by Recorded Future, a Somerville, Massachusetts company that studies the use of the internet by state actors. It found most of the malware was never activated. So they just activated enough to put 20 million people in the dark. Wow. And because Recorded Future could not get inside India's power system, could not examine the details of the code itself. Okay, so there's a lot of stories going on here. So Chinese state-sponsored groups, which are foreign name Red Echo, have been seen to systematically utilize advanced cyber intrusion techniques to quietly gain a foothold in nearly a dozen critical nodes across the Indian power generation and transmission infrastructure. I.e., they could have taken down a whole lot more, at least according to this. Now, this article goes into more detail than some of the other articles I'm going to show you, which is kind of interesting. But it is covered by the Indian sources also. So the investigators who wrote the Recorded Future study said that the alleged link between the outage and the discovery of the unspecified malware in the system remains unsubstantiated. Okay, so they still got some work to do here. But, it goes on and on. They got the reasons for why they're saying it was China. And they're talking here about also Russia. And the United States is engaging in similar signaling after the Department of Homeland Security announced publicly that the American power grid was littered. The American power grid let's rephrase it, is littered with code inserted by Russian hackers. Yeah. So could this happen here? Oh yeah, I talk about that a lot. That's why you need to get ready, my friends. So far, evidence suggests that the SolarWinds hack, named for the company that made network that managed software that was hijacked to insert code, was chiefly about stealing information. But they also blame this on Russians, right? And this is what I was talking about earlier, was this the SolarWinds attack. So, and we're going down here, and as we know, Russia actually has taken down power grids too through hacking. And in the Ukraine, let's see, there's a reference in here somewhere to one of the Russian power grid hacks. Which one is it? Oh, well, I'm not going to go digging around here this article too much. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to show you some of these other articles. As we know, yeah, the Russians are accused of doing this in Ukraine. Mega Mumbai power outage may be result of cyber attack. Final report awaited. Okay, this is in the India Today. And here they're talking about it, India Today. And here in the Hindustan Times, see here, they talk about it. And where is it? Yeah, October 12th, Mumbai power outage. October 12th. Okay. And over here, and Z News, you can tell by the writing, this is also a Indian newspaper, and it also cites the 12th of October. So this came out today, but this article somewhere also cites the 12th of October. So we've got a couple different sources that tie this to the 12th. Was this one? Another one? Maybe it was this one. But yeah, here it is, October 12th. You see this Mumbai power outage. So there you go. We've got it tied to the 12th from different sources. Mumbai, again, is a city of 20 million people, roughly 20 million people. And Zoom will allow me, I'm going to show you the New York City, greater metropolitan area with almost 20 million people. I think Mumbai's got slightly more. And there's less, a little bit less in Los Angeles. So just think about New York or Los Angeles, something bigger than New York or Los Angeles. Probably actually more people than lost power in Texas. So there you go, my friends. That's the scope of it. Think about that. A whole big city, poof, no power. And apparently this was just one of many nodes that they had inserted their software into. They just activated some of it. It's like, hey, you, we got you. We got you. Mess with us, and this is what you're going to face. Is that what they were talking? That is an act of war, not an act of hot war per se necessarily, but that is really out there. China's very aggressive. Very aggressive. If this is the case, yeah, this adds to it. This adds to it. And I say that without this. China's been very aggressive in the world today. So if India's taking note, India's not liking it. And India's standing up for themselves. They're very much standing up to them. India's not backing down. And so maybe that's what this is all about. You know, hey, you got to back down. But will they? I don't think so. It's not in the present character of India. Even though the Hindus are very peaceable people, you know, you don't push anybody, but just so much. You know, push people around so much, and so they're just not having it. They're not having it. So this could lead to bigger things. This kind of thing can lead to bigger things. This kind of thing can happen here. We've seen what happened in Texas. Think about what could happen here. As you just seen, the Russians have their code all in our systems. You think the Chinese don't? Do you really think they don't already have it? Look, they already stole 80% of your personally identifiable information according to certain sources. Makes you think they wouldn't be hacking our systems too. So how do we know that we're not hacked? And there are sleeper cells laying all over this country just waiting on things to happen. That's what I'm telling you. Our grid is very vulnerable. Our lives are very dependent on it. And the worst thing that happen is if those large high voltage transformers get damaged. Those are the ones that take 18 months to get on the loading deck after you order them. If there is a system through which you can place such orders and then transport and receive such things, you know, if the supply chain totally unravels, that stuff ain't happening. So that's why I tell you, our grid is extremely at risk. That's why we need to work to harden the grid. I bring a lot of information. I will be bringing you more about how to get the grid hardened. I've already covered it some. Go back and see my interviews with Mike Mabee and Command Sergeant Major Mike Mabee and General Krasniak with Ambassador Cooper, especially the visits with Ambassador Cooper and Command Sergeant Mike Mabee, because we're very much about telling you what to do to get the grid hardened in those videos. And I've included the information on that in other videos that I've covered too. And I will do a lot more in the future. I'm going to go a lot further in that direction. But also prepare for yourselves, prepare for your families, do what you can, get ready. Especially if we have like a nuclear winter, in case India and Pakistan or India and China get into it. God forbid if we get into it with China directly. I think I'll have to do a video in the not too distant future. What would a war look like between the United States and China? What kind of things can we expect? What can we expect? So yeah, that would not be a pretty picture. Let's hope that don't come to pass. But there's a possibility. Whatever it is, you need to get ready. Just be prepared and then hope it don't happen. Good thing about stuff like this, if you don't have to eat it now, those prices, you know, lasting 25 years, that's a great investment. The food's going way up. And just think of all the camping trips you can have. So that's a good investment, and especially in case things get bad, then you're covered, because it could be economic, it could be environmental, it could be from tensions outside the country or tensions inside the country. There's many things that can put a threat to your food supply. So get ready. Grow your own food too. Also go to my links on True Leaf Market. Order your seeds now. Get them while the getting's good. All right, enough said on all that. I really wish the very best for everybody. Just hope and pray we don't get into these situations. I've done my videos, Universal Solo Cup. I do believe in the power of prayer. I do believe in the power of us being actively engaged in things to prevent situations from coming upon us. And many of videos cover that. That's like getting grid hardened, for example. And I'll be sharing videos in the future about how to contact your Congress and do all these many different things for different stuff like that. I've also started Freedom Restoration Foundation and Survival Tribes. So if you're interested in either of those, you can email me at info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org. If you're interested in survival tribes, but excuse me, tribe in the subject line. If you're interested in Freedom Restoration Foundation, put freedom. And we'll be seeing a website come out really soon for the Freedom Restoration Foundation. We're just about got it ready to come out. And so we're here. You know, a lot of channels out there just tell you to be scared and buy stuff. You know, sometimes you do need to get stuff, and I do cover that too. I also got videos about how to eat free from the weeds in the trees, by the way. So do make sure you subscribe to my channel, bang the bell, and click all so you can see those kind of videos about how to grow your garden, how to eat from the weeds and trees, how to grow inside your living room. I cover all those kind of things. They're on my channel already. How to purify and sanitize water. And there's two different things, Mr. Dave Hodges. All right. Pardon me. I've had a cough for over a year now. I've been analyzed. I can't find the source of it, but just is what it is. So I'm going to say with that, be safe. Have a great week. Have a marvelous March. And thank you for watching.